What sparked your research interest and how did your journey take shape initially?
I wrote GATE in the first. I did not get the good rank, so I thought of dropping an year, and finally I got into IISc Bangalore. So IISc is the main who ignited more my interest into research.
Can you walk us through the process of finding opportunities in abroad?
Whatever I am currently now, it's all because of IISc, and that too because of my master's guide. Because of his help, he funded the whole trip.
Talk about how it can help the other peoples.
I've seen in LinkedIn that it is more becoming a professional Instagram. If you go to LinkedIn, it's like an Instagram. But Tayog is providing a good platform in that way. Many of the students I met from India they were self-sponsored, so they sponsored their own trip on their own. Everything was sponsored by them. I suppose there are so many scholarships that people are not aware about it. So if Tayog can provide more of the information that okay, this grant or this fellowship is available, so people can directly come into it. So it's all of lack of awareness which currently people are going.
Hello Naman, welcome to Tayog podcast. So how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, Rishikesh. How are you?
I'm I'm also doing great. So let's start with beginning. What sparked your research interest and how did your journey take shape initially?
Like in my bachelor's, I did my research. Like it was completely associated with the water resources. So in that, we were looking at the water vulnerability index for
Hmm.
the hilly districts of Uttarakhand. So we have 13 districts in total. So three were excluded, and then 10 were taken into consideration. From there, I got to know more about research and generated some more interest into it. Then I wrote GATE in the first, and in the first time, I was not uh, I did not get the good rank. I got 611 score in GATE, and I was to
Okay.
get into the old IITs. Never thought of IISc, so I thought of dropping an year, and then later on I wrote the GATE again, and finally I got into IISc Bangalore for research. So
Okay,
IISc is
great.
the main who ignited more my interest into research.
Okay, great. Could you share about your background? Like how was you in the school days, in this college, and what after later?
Basically, I am from Dehradun, so I did my schooling from Doon International School, and
Okay.
then I wrote JEE mains. I cracked mains, but not advanced. And I went to GB Pant Engineering College in Padi
Hmm.
Garhwal for my bachelor's, and I did my master's from IISc Bangalore. And currently, I'm pursuing my doctorate from University of
Hmm.
Colorado Boulder in USA. And
Okay.
we are completely focusing on statistical models for the prediction of stream flow and stage and
Hmm.
mitigation of flood forecasting.
Oh, great. So, how did you decide on your specialization with the civil engineering only?
That is something a tricky question, and sometimes I laugh on it because I wrote to GATE two times. Once when I was in the final year of my bachelor's, and then I took a drop and for the second year. But something like currently I'm pursuing my master's in water resource engineering. But when I was preparing for GATE, I skipped the subject that is fluid mechanics, which is completely associated with the water resources. But uh, uh, something which always triggered me was the change in climate and what you are
Okay.
currently observing, the increase in temperature and precipitation.
Okay. So, which means you are concerned about our climate change also.
Yes, I'm currently working on that, and even in my master's, I did for that. I did my research on that, so it was completely focused on impact of climate change on non-stationary intensity duration frequency curve. So you might be looking at, suppose you might have heard in the news channels that this is the 100-year return period rainfall event which has happened,
Yeah.
or you might have heard that in once in 100 years or one in 50 years. So that is the return period you are trying to estimate the probability or the stochasticity that how much time this event is supposed to occur in this number of years. So it was
Yes.
completely focusing on that and how the climate is adversely affecting the intensity of precipitation and the duration of it.
Okay. Great. So, as you shared me something like your journey from IISc to securing the PhD program in the USA is impressive. Can you walk us through the process of finding opportunity in abroad?
Exactly. So when I was in masters. So IISc is a great hub.
Hmm.
So like whatever I am currently now, It's all because of IISc, and that too because of my master's guide who is retired right now in 2024. He is
Okay.
Professor PP Mujumdar, one of the big shot in water resources, and we simply went to him on April 2022 for asking him about the research or internship programs, which I think Tayog is also looking for.
Okay.
So, like the people are looking in Tayog, so it is providing a good platform. So he said, okay, so instead of going here in India about for the internship program, he like made some of the circumstances such that we can go abroad for the internship. So in January, because of his help, he funded the whole trip. We went to UK. So first we went to United Kingdom Center for Ecology and Hydrology, then for to the University of Exeter, and then Imperial College London to get the complete environment of research in abroad. And later on, these all things were like one on one plus plus plus, which helped me out in finding the PhD opportunities in international universities.
Oh, okay. Great. So once you got the opportunity, so what was the academic and cultural adjustment when you moved to the Colorado?
See, the main thing is about the temperature. The temperature goes very down. So currently, like in December, it will be like around -10 or -15. But as you move ahead, the temperature in the January and February will be around -35, -40. So the main adjustment you have to do is for the food and for the temperature. So everything you
Okay.
have to do it on your own. You wouldn't find any sort of uh, assistant or labor here, so you have to cook your food on your own, and all the household activities along with the research you have to do it on your own. So one thing is that, and the second thing is about the temperature, which is adversely,
Mm.
it will adversely affect your academic, because the temperature once it goes to -30 -35, it's very difficult for the commute, and the whole area
Okay.
is covered with snow. So that thing, I think Indians, like from where I belong, generally we have to like
No.
suffer a lot here.
Okay. So let's talk about your ups and downs in the research. You mentioned dealing with the rejections, publishing paper, and the meeting professor exceptions. How did you navigate these challenges?
See, instead of like directly jumping onto the research papers, we should start with the when you're applying to the foreign universities, even in
Okay.
Indian
Okay.
universities also. If you're
Mm.
going for to apply in IIT Bombay, in IIT Madras, and you did for your masters on like somewhere IIT Roorkee or somewhere else, then you
Mm.
have to face rejections. So starting from there, if you are looking for the international opportunities coming from India and applying to the foreign universities, in that case most likely it is like you will not even receive the replies from the professors. So that is fine, you should not be discouraged if the professor is not mailing you or not answering you. It's fine, but at least you should have a list. Simply focus on your study area, the research area in which you are currently working on, and look at the universities and the professors, mainly the professors who are completely aligned in the research area you are working in. Simply mail them. Most likely is they will not reply, or they will say okay, they don't have any potential PhD position currently, but they will
Okay.
definitely mail you once they have. So that is one thing. And most of the time they will like take an interview of yours, but you might face rejections in that case. So it is fine. So one thing is that, so once you get a PhD opportunity, then you have to work. So
Okay.
the culture, I think you might be asking this question later. The culture of Indian research system and the foreign research system is completely opposite.
Okay.
So completely opposite in most of the aspects. And when you are publishing a paper, it might be the case the paper gets rejected. So you have to focus on that as well.
Okay. So could you give us some paper publishing tips for the initial PhD students?
Yeah, that will be really good. So mainly, most of the times I've seen like many of the researchers are currently publishing bogus papers, one thing. And second thing, it's like you keep my name in your paper, I'll keep your name in my paper. So by this, you can increase the count of the published papers you have actually worked on. So that is the two major things which are currently going in research system. That is completely wrong. And if you are asking for the tips, then first analyze what you are doing. So if you are,
Okay.
what my professor generally says is, if you have generated the results, just keep your computer off. Because running the code, like we are completely working on machine learning, artificial intelligence, running the code, getting the results is one thing. That is an art, that is a machinery. anyone can do right now, because everything is on your fingertips. But the main thing is, once you get the results, what inferences you draw from that? What are the
Okay.
research limitations which are actually existing in the current world? So the two things are what my professor always says to me, and always he motivates me for that. Whenever you are doing the research, always focus on what is the research questions you are trying to address based on the limitations of previous research. One. And the second question is, what are the solutions you are trying to give so that these all limitations can be incorporated?
Okay.
Okay,
So these,
got it.
if these two things are adjusted in your research, everything is done. And you should be
Okay.
clear. Like, suppose I am my native language, my mother language is Hindi. So if I am writing a paper, it is very fine. You can write a complete research paper in Hindi. I know it's very difficult for me to write everything in Hindi, but at least I can figure out the things what I want to completely lay out in the paper. You write the paper simply in English, Hindi plus English, but later on you translate that into English, it will be very easy for you. So you should have a very clear picture in your mind what research questions you are trying to address, and how your paper should lay out, should be completely lay out in a completely structured and coherent manner.
Okay. Yeah. Actually. So, mm, I want to ask, like, how do you balance the high expectation of the professor and the supervisors while managing your personal goals?
I think there are not exactly any personal goals right now, because I'm here for research. For me, research is everything, because
Okay.
they are paying us for research, not for our personal goals. That is fine. But
Mhm.
second thing is, like, it's 5 days work a week, right? So you can work around that. What US culture actually does is, they'll work throughout for the 5 days, and on weekends they will not touch their books. So for the
Okay.
Okay,
weekends, those weekends are completely for their own things.
Okay.
One
okay,
thing. Secondly, when you're going through a research, so most of the time it will be like you are free throughout the week. Suppose you have published a paper and it's the paper is under review, you will be relaxed for 1 week or 2 weeks, right? But some of the cases it will be like you are extremely busy. Like last week, I was there in Washington. I was there for the AGU conference, and when I came back day before yesterday, so it was very hectic, and I have to. I we have submitted the paper in July. Now we have got the review. So by 25th of December, I have to submit the comments answering the reviews of the reviewer. So this week is quite hectic. Once it is done, then I'm a bit free. So it's not exactly 9 to 5 job if someone is thinking of it, but it's more of continuous working and progressing into the work. So we have to come up with that mindset,
Okay.
okay.
not exactly 9 to 5 job and then it is done.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So now I want to come to the part of the mentorship and the networking. So mentorship can make or break or the research career, as I know. So what's been your experience with the mentors and how have they shaped your journey?
Mentors in what case?
Mentors in the sense of your research career.
Main of my mentor, I'll completely, as I mentioned, will be my master supervisor. He
Okay.
is my
Okay,
godfather, so to bring me in the research line.
Okay.
Exactly,
okay,
he has done a lot for us. He sent us, like, most of the cases you might hear, the master students are not sent to the foreign universities just to have the insights what actually the international research system works. So he sent to us, and once we were back in January, it was like 15 to 20 days trip. So he asked us to submit an abstract for the EGU conference that was to held in Austria, Vienna. And then in April he sent us there. We were three under him. So all the expenses were taken bear by him. So I'm really
okay,
grateful to him first. And second thing, my current PhD supervisor, he's a big shot, and he's like, I'll use, he's a man of ideas. So once you run short of ideas or you are stuck somewhere, in many times you will see this in PhD, it's not like going all straight. Many ups and downs will come, mostly downs will come, but you have to focus on them. And if your PhD research supervisor is helpful, then you will not be much stressful, and you will be landing with a good and smooth doctoral experience in your PhD
okay.
career.
Did you think for your research from your beginning only, means from the bachelor's only, or did you start after the master's?
Generally, like, to be very honest, if someone says like I have more interest in computer science, say I have more interest in mechanical engineering. Simple question is, well, how much do you know about the subject?
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually.
actually.
Right. So most of the people in 11th or 12th standard, they simply say I have more of an interest in more of an interest in computer science. How much do you know? How much coding do you do in a day? So in our times, it was not, the knowledge was not in the fingertips. Currently, it is, but still, the first question is that. So once you goes along with your academic, the interest develops. So it is not exactly like, I'll not say after coming and pursuing my PhD here that, oh, from fifth class I was having my interest in climate sciences, precipitation, temperature. No, it was not like that. So this all getting into, although I did my bachelor's project in uh, environmental and water resources, but the
Okay.
exact my interest in research currently completely on water resources here, came when I was in IISc Bangalore. So if you look at the uh, IISc Bangalore faculty list, so you'll find all other, like if you are working in any domain, any research, any faculty, you are always on a good hand. You're
Okay.
Okay.
always with a good hand, first thing. But the exactly current scenarios, and if we look at uh, the more potential topic and the high streaming topic which is currently going in the market and in the international world, is mainly on the climate change, that how this is completely changing. And when we look at the results, when I was in IISc, I was working on Bangalore precipitation, so I predicted the precipitation using the climate models, and it was completely focused on short duration high intensity rainfall. So you might have generally noticed that the precipitation which should occur in a 1 hour duration, it is occurring in a 15 minutes. That is completely leading to flooding. And as the
Okay.
rainfall falls on the surface, all the surface is impermeable. So most of the rainfall directly turns into runoff. So all these things, when you look at the results, you'll find very, like, the results will be very shocking. So all these things brings more interest of my uh, research into water resources, and that too in climate change.
Okay, great. Uh, Now I want to come to the networking part. So, how has it influenced your career progression, and especially in the securing research funding and the collaborations?
Collaborations, in like what I said is, there are many reasons which I say that in Indian research system is currently lacking. So once you are in international research system, say USA, very good hub for research, you have very good collaborators. You have the collaborators from industries, you have the collaborators from the consultancy agencies. So through these agencies, it will be very easy for you to collaborate with these people. And they might come into your research panel also. So it is not the case that only the professors will be there in the research panel. These people can also come into a research panel. And the second thing is, there is no data problem in USA. So once you do have the
Okay.
complete data, you can work. And the people who are currently working in all these consultancy agencies are one or the other, some of the like students of or alums of a research group. So it's very easy to interact with them, and if you're stuck, then they can help you. And
Okay.
getting a
Okay.
job in US system, what I may be wrong in this case, but what I have currently observed in you from the past 1.5 years in US, it's completely based on the networks. So once you have
Okay.
good
Okay.
networks, once you have your friends or like some of the LMs in the consultancy companies or industries, it will be very easy for you to get a job. Rather, you are
Okay.
looking, there is no such called training and placement cell, what we generally have in Indian universities or colleges, but here
Okay.
TNP cells does not exist. So whatever you have to do it on your own, and on the basis of research and networks you have, or your group have.
Uh,
Okay. Yes.
as
So I've seen
last
like
time.
I was
Yes.
reading.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. I've seen about Tayog also. So I've seen that Tayog is currently uh, collaborating with very researchers and many
Yes.
Yes.
industrialists, so people who are working in currently in industries and doing, or like we people doing research. So Tayog is completely collaborating with them. And also one thing, like people are looking for these opportunities on LinkedIn. Now I've seen in LinkedIn that it is more becoming a professional Instagram. So
Yeah.
people are, most
Actually.
of the like all the bullshit things are posted on Instagram. This has happened, that has happened, and At the end of the post, they'll put their own picture. So if they are
Yeah.
moving around in Washington DC or some New York area, they'll put that picture and post it on Instagram along with that bullshit stuff. People will comment and like those pictures just on the basis of that Instagram pics. So it is more of an professional Instagram rather than a research platform or the professional platform. So I congratulate Tayog, and you people are working really good so that people can
As,
get more
so
insights.
as you mentioned about Tayog, thanks for that. As a perspective of the researcher, could you talk about Tayog, how it can help the other people's?
Exactly. So like I've seen like you texted me on LinkedIn and from there we connected. And also you I was looking at the website, so many of the good researchers who are working in international universities or IITs or IISc Bangalore. So I've seen like you people are collaborating with them. Many people are from industry, so if people comes to you, if suppose I am a professor and I have two potential uh, PhD positions currently with me. So, and working on climate change and all these things. Some person who is interested to pursue his PhD in this, he will directly come to you, right? Because your page or your website has uploaded that this is uh, vacancies are there in particular university. This professor is looking for the potential PhD candidates.
Yeah.
If you go to LinkedIn, these things are not possible current days. If you go to LinkedIn, it's like an Instagram. So I've stopped using much of the LinkedIn, but Tayog is providing a good platform in that case.
Okay. Thank you. Mm.
So
So,
if people are looking for research opportunities or if there is any scholarship program, so the second thing I've seen like when I went to AGU conference, so many of the students I met from India is they were self-sponsored, so they sponsored their own trip on their own. Everything was sponsored by them. So if you have a good funding system in India, and I suppose there are so many scholarships that people are not aware about it. So if Teo can provide more of the information that okay, this grant or this fellowship is available, which can be availed by the student if they are if they are going to this conference or this conference. So for this purpose, this money is allotted. So people can
yeah.
directly jump into it. So it's all of lack of awareness which currently people are going on.
Yes. Actually, actually Tayog is for that. Even nowadays, we are thinking that researcher can share their work and share their knowledge. So bachelor students or the initial PhD can get inspired from that also. One thing I forget to ask about you, like this month you went for the presentation, no? So how was that experience? Is it your
It was
first
really a
presentation?
good experience. So I'll not comment like in India you will lack of this or in US you will be, because when I was in India I had two trips for the research. But this month I was in Washington for the American Geophysical Union Conference 2024,
Hmm.
one of the biggest conference where 30 to 35,000 people come and they project their research. So it's a very big platform, and the best thing about it is people like you might be reading the research papers of the people who are a big shot in this domain, and it's all about like you might be looking at the climate sciences, environmental sciences, hydrology, and
Hmm.
chemical sciences. Everything is under the same roof. So there are n
Okay.
number of people, you have complete diversity of research. And currently people currently which are focusing on a single domain are like losing their interest. But if you're interdisciplinary and looking on more, it will be really good. And the main thing I found is people are coming with very good research and they have very
Okay.
good questions. So the main point is what I said before: what questions you are trying to address and what are the solutions which can incorporate that. Many people are clear, so once you go there and project your research, it will like, I'm not doing anything, look at these people, the way they are presenting their work, extremely good. And what I was telling you before, the big shots of whom the paper you are reading, research papers, they'll be there, so you can meet them in person, you can get their insights on your research. You can simply put
Yeah.
like, this I'm doing, if you have some more insights I will try to incorporate those. If that, see, research is all about hit and trial method. You give me a
Yeah.
method, you have a data, you give me a method, I'll incorporate and project the results. It's all about whether it works or not. If it works, keep it. It doesn't work, trash.
Yeah.
Pick the second
Yes.
idea, pick the third idea. At least one will work. Once the idea works, you have a paper ready. But you have to go through hit and trial method, and you can show that I tried these five methods, this one is the best method which is working.
Okay.
Reject all,
Yes.
no problem. Keep the one which is working. Simple. So this is all.
Yeah.
This all can be done once you meet n number of people. You have a diverse environment of research, and you have thousands of ideas. Because if you are meeting 100 people, you have 100 ideas. If you try to incorporate 100 ideas, at least one will work. At
Yeah.
least one
Actually.
will work. And once that work, you have a good paper.
Yeah. Actually.
And second thing, the collaboration. What you mentioned in before. The second thing is collaboration. Once you have these people in your contact list, you have a good collaboration. Even their students also.
Okay.
So collaboration also works in such type of conferences.
Nice. Mm, Lastly, before ending this podcast, so what advice would you like to give to students who are preparing for the GATE or aspiring to pursue a PhD in India and abroad?
Forget I can give a long lecture because I have been preparing for it. And suppose I am from civil engineering, so I give you an example. First, we'll talk about GATE, and then for it. The second question was for research, right?
Yeah.
For international research, right? The first is GATE. So suppose you are studying in you are a student of civil engineering department. So take two subjects. I'll speak more in a generalized way, but giving an example for the civil engineering subject. Suppose you are working on, suppose you are studying currently going through the subject of transportation. That has nothing to do with water resource subject. These are two complete different branches. Go through it.
Okay.
It should not be like one should be not aligning with the other, so that you should have a diverse and you should have a mixing environment when you are studying two subjects. So suppose for the others, uh, department people, if you are going through, if you are learning maths, mathematics, engineering mathematics, take any other subject which is not associated with mathematics, go through it. Once you are done with these two subjects, start with third and fourth subject. But when you are studying third and fourth, on weekends you should learn one and two as well. Because once you go ahead, many people I've heard, and even it was the case with me, it's the generalized case, that once you study third and fourth, you'll forget one and two. When you study fifth and sixth subject, you'll forget one, two, three, four. So
Yeah.
on weekends, it will not take much time. It will take hardly 1 or 2 hours to go through the previous subjects which you have completed. And always the case, please complete the PYQs parallelly. In parallel, PYQs should be completed. It should not be like uh, you are completely going through the subject, learning, and not applying the PYQs. Because PYQ will give you the broad picture how what is the exact layout of the question paper the gate people makes. So like this you
Okay.
can do. Suppose I give an example for civil engineering. Structure and solid mechanics are associated subjects. So if you are studying structures, go for mathematics, go for irrigation, go for open channel flow. These two subjects are not associated. But for with solid mechanics, if you go with structures, these two are associated. So first you have to complete solid mechanics, then you can jump into structures. So take one subject, the other subject, these two should be independent. For research, the second question was research. As I
Yeah.
mentioned before, generate your research interest. In which research area you want to pursue your doctorate. It should not be like I will do whatever I want to. जिसके अंदर मिलेगा मैं कर लूंगा. It's not the case with doctorate. Secondly, look for the professors, meet the people. You can hop into LinkedIn, connect with the people who are currently working under that professor. If that works, you simply mail the professor with a small statement of purpose, who you are. It should be of three paragraph. First paragraph, who you are. Second paragraph, what you have actually done in the bachelor's, master's, and if any other research experience you have. The third should be the paragraph, what you will be doing if you are taken as a potential PhD candidate in the university.
Okay.
So these three paragraphs should be there in the SOP. There should be a very precise and very catchy CV, which should be attached to the email. So one is SOP, one is CV, and a short uh, email you should shoot to the professors under whom you want to pursue your doctorate. Once you are done, it is okay. And if you are going, if you are coming or you're planning to come to US or your academics, the major problems comes with the visa. So start the visa
Okay.
process at your earliest. Once you get the I-20, start the process. So visa is also
Okay.
takes much time.
Okay. Got it. So, Naman, this has been such insightful conversations. Like, I'm sure our listeners will take a valuable
Yeah,
lesson from these experiences. And thank you
they
so
can
much for giving your time.
they can connect with Tayog and they can
Yeah,
connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'll request you to put my LinkedIn ID in the description whenever you post your video. And they can
yeah.
connect me with on Instagram also. I'm quite active on Insta as well. So it will be good if they can connect, and if they have any questions, I'm always happy to answer them to the
Uh,
best of my knowledge.
for audience, you can connect the Naman also on the Tayog also.
Yeah, obviously I mentioned like from Tayog you can connect, LinkedIn you can connect, or Instagram also, but that is not fine.
Okay, great. So,